Hey, how's it going? Happy Monday. It's Miles here at Tactical Hyve, and it's the beginning of the week, so we're going to continue the series of how to shoot a pistol accurately, starting with a dry fire session today, and then on Thursday, we're going to follow up with a live fire session that gives you exercises so that you can work on what you practice throughout the week and validate your training and your practice. Last week, we focused on being able to punch out your pistol and keep your sight steady. So if we want to shoot accurately, we need to make sure that what we're aiming at with our iron sights or a red dot, that's precisely where our red dot or sights are going to be when we break the shot. But for most beginners, they disrupt the sights at the very last second and they miss their target. So what we did was we did some exercises, and hopefully on Thursday of last week or over the weekend, you were able to see some improvement. This week, we're going to continue in terms of building on that accuracy, what you did last week, but add a little speed. One thing to note is that we're not going to take giant leaps forward. The truth is, a lot of beginners and perhaps even intermediate shooters, they're always looking for the secret sauce. They're always looking for the secret weapon or just the secret in general to getting good. And they expect things to happen overnight. Everyone knows, anyone who's truly a professional at shooting and really good knows it takes a lot of time. So we need to gradually build up on things. So we are going to build off of what we did last week, but then add a little bit more speed. Now, why am I starting this way? Because remember, there's a lot of things that we can cover in shooting. And in these videos, we're only going to be focusing on one or two things at a time. But why am I picking speed next? So at first you were shooting accurately, right? If you recall, part of the dry fire and live fire was start off really slow and then increase the speed as you get comfortable, right? But the focus wasn't on speed, the focus is on just learning mechanics. The reason why we're going to stick with this and just adding a little bit more speed and some techniques that are going to help you is because you still need time. You still need more dry fire practice and live fire practice to really ingrain that. Just a very quick aside, in a lot of our classes, there's no universal in the entire firearms industry for what a beginner shooter is, an intermediate shooter, advanced shooter, so on and so forth. Unfortunately, what we've noticed in teaching hundreds of students and going to a lot of different classes, that many students will base their skill level not on their true abilities, but rather how many classes they've gone to, or if the topics covered in the class are ones they've already learned. It doesn't mean they can perform it, but the way we're going to handle this series is to truly ingrain these techniques and principles and everything we're going to be teaching you into your subconscious so you actually know them, okay? So sorry for that long aside, but I think it's very, very important to explain that. So those of you who did live fire and you began to increase the speed, so dry fire, you were doing this the whole time, making sure your sights were steady, and then live fire, I had explained that if things were looking good and you were hitting your target and even during dry fire, to kind of increase the speed and see if you were disrupting the sights or not, or during live fire getting accurate shots. Some of you will have noticed a few things. One is when you punched your gun out, pushed out, presented, whatever you want to call it, your red dot or your iron sights, you may have lost it. What do I mean by that? With your iron sights, your sights may not have been aligned. So when you were here, you punched your gun out, but then you had to spend some time out here to line up your sights, okay? Then for the red dot users, some of you may have been right here, punched out, but then you did not see your red dot. And then you had to spend some time to find it. So what happened there? That caused you to pause, and then you had to aim and take that shot. So that pause forces you to shoot slower. So what I'm going to teach you right now is how to maintain good sight alignment and get that feel so that when you push out, you know if you're going to be on target or not, and then you can break the shot. Okay? And this applies to red dots as well. So the very first thing is we're going to do everything in reverse. Now remember, we're all dry. You're going to start on your target, whatever you want to hit. For iron sight shooters, I'm going to get my finger off the trigger for now. Whatever you want to shoot, you're going to have your sights aligned on that target. Same thing for red dot shooters. Put your red dot on whatever you want to hit. Okay? Pick a piece of paper on the wall or something, a light switch, whatever you want at home. Okay? And from here, what I want you to do, this is the key here, lock your wrists. Do not move your wrists, okay? So once you're on target here, I want you to lock the wrists. No movement whatsoever. Now, technically speaking, if you lock your wrists and you just bring your elbows in, remember we are not doing this, okay? We discussed in this series we are not doing this low ready, we're going to bring our elbows into a compress ready. So technically speaking, my red dot or my iron sights are on target and I just bring my elbow in, when I extend out, where should my red dot or sights be? They should actually be right where I started from. So all we're doing here is just bringing our elbows in and then punching them back out. Elbows in, punching them back out. If you do that correctly without moving your wrists at all, your red dot should be exactly where it was, or roughly, but at least you're seeing, at the very minimum, you're seeing your red dot right in front of your eye line or your perfectly aligned sights. So the idea is you're no longer spending time looking for your red dot or trying to align your sights. So that's one way we can get a little faster, because now we don't have to worry about punching out, oh, what's going on? Okay, so what you're going to do, the first dry fire exercise, is you're going to rack your slide here, okay? And then what I'd like you to do is you're going to use all of the aforementioned from last week techniques that we discussed. So while I'm here, I'm going to do this here, finger off the trigger here. As I punch out, I am going to prep my trigger, okay? And I'm punching my gun out. My sights are on that target. Then I break the shot. Then I reset and prep. Remember that, okay? Reset and prep, okay? One thing before I move on, someone in the comments had mentioned this, and this was actually something we forgot to mention in a previous video. So my P365, take a look at this here. When I break the shot, the trigger actually returns. It does not lock back. It does not get pinned to the rear, like for example, some Glocks do, right? So if you have a gun where the trigger gets pinned and you can't really simulate this stuff here, you have a couple of options here. One is you can put a piece of paper, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I don't have a little piece of paper. It could be a little piece of paper, a little stick, something like that. So as you send the slide forward, it'll be out of battery just ever so slightly. Ever so slightly it'll be out of battery, and your trigger will act just like this. Okay, it'll go back and forth. Now you can't do that during live fire though, of course, or you can get something called a dry fire mag, which I will leave a link to below, and that is a magazine, a dry fire magazine you can put in your gun that allows you to break a shot, and then it resets your trigger automatically for you. Okay, so those are two options if you have a pistol that when you break a dry fire shot, it gets pinned to the rear here, okay? Now, sorry for that quick aside. That was something important that we forgot to mention in the previous video, and I think is important now. So what we're doing here is we're just reviewing at first. We're going to punch out, prep our trigger, break that shot once our sights are aligned, and then reset and prep. I want to make sure my sights are on target. I have a prep trigger ready to take a follow-up shot, and if everything looks good, then finger off the trigger and I'm back to compress ready. So that is what we did last week. Now what we're going to do is we're going to speed things up, but understand that I know some of you are running into that issue of not finding your sights. So what we're going to do now is, as you're ready to work on speed, start on your target. Okay, so I'm going to rack my slide, start on your target. Okay, you can go with your finger on a prep trigger or not. I'll do it from the outside here. I'm on target with my red dot or my iron sights. I'm going to keep my wrists locked. Bring my elbows in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm looking at my target. If you lock your wrists and you punch out, you should be exactly where you were aiming originally. If you don't move anything, because all you're doing is just bring your elbows in and elbows out. If you're not, that means there was added movement. Maybe you moved your wrists, maybe your body, whatever it is. All we're doing is just moving our arms back and forth. And technically speaking, you should be on target. So for those of you who are shooting a red dot and you've heard people, they have a hard time finding the red dot, you got to now, the learning here is understanding, being aware of your body positioning, the relation of your body, the grip, everything, the positioning of your body to the target. And now if you have a red dot and my aligned sights here, when I bring it up down here, okay, and punch out, I should be aware of the feeling and know if my sights are going to be aligned or not. So here, this is something where if you work in reverse, understand that feeling, now you know when you punch out, you know your sights will be aligned or your red dot will be on target so you can break the shot fast. So once you've done this dry where you're just here and then you punch out and you now get that feeling of your sights or your red dot being aligned, now we're ready to take some dry fire shots. So what you would do is you would rack the slide, start from here, okay, and I'm back. At this point, I'm gonna go, 25% speed. I'm gonna prep my trigger, my sights are aligned, break the shot. Reset and prep. Are my sights there? Did it move? No, everything's good. Good rep. Okay, rack the slide, and now I'm back to here. okay? Now I'll do this 50%. So I'm here, I look at my target, I'll start on my target first, in the back here, I'm gonna prep my trigger. Once my sights are on target, I'm gonna break the shot. And I reset my trigger, my sights didn't move, finger out the trigger, and I'm back. The idea here is that the learning, okay? The learning is not impressing the trigger quickly. The learning is understanding the feeling that when you had your sights aligned or your red dot on target, understand the positioning of your grip, be sensitive to that, be sensitive to the position of your body. That is what you're chasing, okay? That is the most important thing here, not pulling the trigger. Because when you punch out, if you have that same sensation with your grip, okay, you know that when you present, you will be aimed in on target, then you can break the shot quickly. Just to confirm, you're gonna just take a look, just wait for your sights to overlay, confirm that they're on the target, then break the shot, okay? So that is the first skill here that we're working on, making sure your wrists are locked so that your sights are aligned, your red dot is on target. And I'm repeating myself over and over because this is something that it's so simple, yet when we teach in a lot of classes, a lot of people, it takes some time for people to understand what's going on. So you're going to do this, number of reps until you're comfortable where I punch out, prep my trigger, take the shot, and I'm back. I do it again. I get my sights on target, go in reverse, I go back here, then I punch out, prep my trigger, break the shot. Okay, that time I paused because I was talking, all right? But you want to try and break the shot as soon as your sights are on target. So that wraps up this week's dry fire session. What we're going to do is we're going to break up the idea of building more speed into your presentation, your first shot, into two parts because there's a lot of things we have to cover. So what we covered today was really about making sure that when you do punch out, that your sights or your red dot are exactly where you expect them to be and lined up, rather than having to hunt around for your iron sights to align them or your red dot. Okay, so give those dry fire exercises a go. Do them about, if you can, 3 times before you do live fire at the end of the week. And ideally about 15 minutes, do more if you can. And, again, focus on quality reps. And if you are able to get that practice in, you're gonna be well prepared for your live fire session. Remember, the idea is to get your sights on target already quickly so that you don't have to spend time doing that. So really focus in on that. As always, if you like the video, please give us a thumbs up and comment and subscribe. See you guys later this week.